Episode 50 of the Unscripted Company Podcast, one of the fastest growing podcasts on the internet. Don't fact check me on that. Right before we went live, Riley was giving us a really in-depth analysis on his new favorite investment, Fartcoin. Riley, I'm going to toss it over to you, good sir. Can you please update the markets on what is happening with Fartcoin? Where is your investment at? And what is your next hotly anticipated pick for the next meme coin?
So I don't have any investments in Fartcoin. I'll be honest, I didn't even know Fartcoin was a thing until about 15 minutes ago, but I did my best to become an expert before we got on here. So Fartcoin, we're sitting at 80 cents on the dollar right now. So it's definitely come down a little bit, but apparently if you name a coin after a bodily function, apparently it becomes worth something one day, and it goes from being 1/10 of a cent to now selling on the upside of $1.50 a share. So definitely you want to get your hands on some Fartcoin. It's probably gonna be the next Bitcoin or Dogecoin in the future. I don't foresee it being anything like Haktua, but hey, you never know.
Oh, so you're saying it's gonna be nothing like that? So it's gonna be much more successful.
I feel like it's gonna be much more successful, and it's gonna last longer than 24 hours.
That is true. Now, what's the one caveat we have to say? Because Riley's analysis of Fartcoin is so rock solid. You know, they say you want to always build your house on a rock, not the sand. And Fartcoin is the rock. The one caveat we have to throw out there is this is not financial advice. This is just Riley's expert opinion on the topic.
This is not my expert opinion. That is correct. But it's funny, though, because apparently they have 69.42 billion, which is the self-reported circulating supply of Fartcoin. So apparently they have a decent amount out there.
Current market cap is $804 million.
Yep. So it's definitely up there. But again, that invest at your own risk. You did not hear me say anything or give you financial advice in any shape, form, or fashion. I'm going to need every single person who watches this episode tonight to sign an NDA so that you can't talk about it. So yeah.
Well, cool. Well, tonight, I guess, do you want to be introduced by your name? Do you want to be introduced by a screen name? How do you prefer to be known? Because you're kind of legendary in the live stream chats, because if it's not Dana, it's probably you.
Yeah, I mean, either way, man.
Riley, do you want to introduce?
Yeah, no, I'll do it. So for those of you, you know him by his screen name, Daddy Streaming, but we wanted to do something different tonight for our 50th episode. So we wanted to have one of our most influential guests, but he's also one of my brothers in the church, Jay. He is our guest tonight. We decided that we wanted to do something different. This is just kind of going to like the whole intro, but this is episode 50. This is the end of season 1. So we decided we wanted to kind of break it up into seasons now. So we started 50 episodes for the first season, and it's funny because it almost timed perfectly with the start of the new year, but we're just like a week shy. But hey, it all worked itself out. And so now starting in 2025, starting next week on episode 51 will be season 2. So we definitely have some good content and some changes coming up and stuff. So we wanted to do something different and have our one of our biggest fans on here, but just one of my brothers as well, just to switch it up on everyone, so that's kind of where we're at tonight. So
we're also going to
definitely a privilege.
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of curious to see, I see Dana's out there in the chat. You're here live with us. I'm curious. I see there's 3 people out there right now. So I'm kind of curious, who are these other 2 people out there? So maybe we'll find out. So I know we don't really have an agenda tonight, kind of keeping, I guess, true to the unscripted concept. But I know I have a few things on my end. I'm sure y'all have some things you want to talk about as well. I guess I'll throw it over to y'all unless you want me to kick off with just like a random topic on something, or there's kind of a topic that is pretty fire what's going on right now. No pun intended,
I mean, go for it, man. I mean, I'm still kind of browsing and stuff, but I mean, I've got a few things pulled up, so go for it.
No, yeah, I know we were kind of talking about it before we went live, but I'm guessing y'all keeping up with the fires in the West Coast right now, the Palisades in California.
Yeah,
kind of crazy, especially how fast it happened. I found a video real quick. It's like 50 seconds, but it just kind of puts in perspective like how large this is. because I'm sure everyone on social media is talking about this on every social media platform, because unfortunately it's like devastating. Like people are losing their entire livelihoods. Both people on both ends of the economic spectrum have been impacted by this. I've seen there's even graphs and charts that show how much larger this is than other historical fires. But I thought this video would kind of put it in perspective real quick. This is like from a local CBS Los Angeles station, and it just shows January 7th, kind of when it started and how fast this thing grew. So I'm gonna click play real quick.
In the newsroom here have put together this incredible animation that shows the timeline of how this fire advanced through the communities of Pacific Palisades and Malibu. Here it is, January 7th at 6:17. It was at 2,900 acres. And then on January 8th, that explosion to 15,000 acres. And then the next day, 17,000 acres as it progressed into the mountains. And then on the 9th, 19,000 acres. And you can see how far it had gotten into Malibu. And then we come to yesterday at 20,000 acres. And you can see 20 and then to 21,000 acres. But you see how far across it spread, and all the way up to the 11th, which is today at 22,660 acres. This is just information from 7:30 a.m. today.
Crazy.
How is California still alive? How is California even still here right now?
They got a lot of land, man. That's the one thing, is like California may be, narrow, but it's very long. If you think about it, all the way up from like the far northwest part of the state, north of San Francisco, all the way down to like San Diego. And this is just like LA County. But I saw there's a crazy stat that so far it's estimated that there's been $150 billion worth of damage thus far. And JP Morgan predicts in terms of insured losses, there's going to be over $20 billion, and uninsured losses of $100+ billion.
So here's my question though. So you mentioned like the insurance. I got two questions. First of all, Jay had posted something on Facebook, and he was like, couldn't they technically just use ocean water to put the fires out? Because you're right there on the ocean, just start having helicopters just scoop up water and just dump the water on it. Like the water's gonna go back into the ocean at some point, so it's like just do that. But like when it comes to like the insurance claims, how is all this going to affect like what this year's economy is going to look like? Because insurance companies can only do so much. Even if you are a large scale like Farmers, State Farm, you probably got even like higher tier insurance companies that probably a lot of those millionaires utilize versus just your typical Allstate and stuff like that. Like they probably got a different tier of insurance companies that what we don't use, because we're not at that level, because we don't have those large assets to protect. So
you'd think that, but I've seen stories where there have been some celebrities where they didn't have fire insurance on their homes. They were just paying out of pocket for things because a lot of the insurance companies have either backed out of the state of California altogether and are no longer insuring those customers, or fire insurance has been stripped from the overall home insurance like package they have. I didn't pull it up, but there was like one video I saw of this lady. She was like in her early 60s. She snuck into like an evacuation zone. And you know how they've been having like news or like news crew people going inside the evacuation areas and like filming stuff. And they were interviewing her. And she said she was only there because her parents' home, which was her childhood home, was in one of the areas that was starting to burn down. And her parents, the entire neighborhood technically, got stripped of all the fire insurance. So they weren't able to be covered. The entire neighborhood wasn't covered. And so she was literally there as fire was going on around them, like just spraying the house down with hose water, basically just hoping for the best, because her parents were like in their 90s and had no fire insurance options.
Dude, that's crazy, man. Like we can't control natural disasters like this. So how are you going to strip insurance from people? It's like, I mean, they don't offer tornado insurance, but that's just be like if they had tornado insurance and they strip that away from, all the states that got tornadoes. It's like, it makes no sense. But
well, that's the weird twisted reality of it is it's like, yeah, you need insurance, and yeah, you have to have insurance to get the mortgage initially, but you don't like have to have insurance. And so insurance is not like a federally backed thing.
It's not.
Yeah. So if the insurance company is like, yo, I'm out, this is not financially feasible, or like, insurance as a company is really just a bet of, I will capture enough money and hope nobody wants that money back to fix anything. So the problem is if everyone wants their money back at the same time, it's not good for business anymore. So pack up your bag and go elsewhere.
Unfortunately.
Come to Texas. Just kidding.
No.
Just kidding, guys.
A lot of them did, and then they all went back home because they were able to sell it like what they had here, and they're like, well, I might as well just go ahead and just move back home then. So
I get paranoid. We're going to have another big fire at some point too, to be honest with you. Just sometimes during the summer when it gets just dry enough. Because I think, Riley, we might have talked about this on a prior episode or just outside of the podcast. Yeah. But y'all remember in Bastrop, which is like southeast of Austin, they call it the Bastrop fire. It was a fire that was like tens of thousands of acres, something like that. It was a crazy, but it looked apocalyptic in the same way that these California fires do.
Well, that's how the one over in West Texas looked, like up in the Panhandle.
Yeah, that happened not too long ago.
It was last summer, I think, is when it happened. And so like a lot of farmers lost their land. Like we were having like, that's one thing I like about like good blue collared workers, especially in like situations like that when it's farmers and stuff. Like we had farmers coming from other states to bring hay, to bring cattle, like to bring things down here just to help the farmers that were at the ranches here in Texas to get back on their feet. Like very rarely do you ever see that in like multi-billion-dollar companies and stuff like that. But it's the businesses that are the ones that are the literal backbone of this country that are helping each other out. So
it ain't easy being a farmer these days.
It is not.
Yeah. Have y'all seen the stats about how, I could probably pull up an article real quick on this, how like the farming generation is like all retiring and there's no younger generation to pick up where they left off. Like they can't, the kids don't want to take over the family farm. And so basically private equity's coming in, buying up the farm land at least, and then either developing on it or, factory farming for sure is just taking over.
That's why it's essential to buy your own land, grow your own crops, farm your own animals, like do your own thing. Like I think it's going to be like the small, which I think like that's like, investment opportunities right there is like investing in like the small time people that do the stuff themselves, like where they herd cattle, like just smaller ranches and such. That's going to be a great investment opportunity in the future to invest in them so that you're getting a portion of that. But yeah.
So I was pulling it up real quick. I remember reading this, I guess it was back in like late 2023. But it says, this is for Texas in particular. In 2017, there were nearly 41,000 Texas farmers who were 75 years or older. There were another 65,000 between the ages of 65 and 74. And so like all of our farmers are of retirement age, but their kids are not wanting to take over the family business. I get it. There's the whole narrative of like go off to college, get a white collar job, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. But you can't be born into that family and then not expect to take over that business. Like that has to happen. Like when you're born into those types of families, like I'm not saying like they only had kids to keep that business in that family, but when you grow up in that aspect, like you have to think how long a lot of these ranches and farms have been around for, like hundreds of years. And so they've been in the family for multi-generations already. So it's like, what else do you expect to do?
Yeah. And only 9% of all of the state's farmers are 35 and under. So it's a very small percentage of like young guns coming up right now to take over.
We need more agricultural stuff. That's what we need.
We'll be eating genetically modified foods from
that's why it's important for people to start learning how to do it. And what blows my mind though, is you have young people our age, maybe a little bit younger, that are like, I want to learn how to homestead. Oh, so you want to learn how to actually live like they used to live 50 years ago, 60 years ago. That's not homesteading. Like that's how people used to live hundreds of years ago. And so it's just, you're not reinventing the wheel. You're doing exactly what these people have said they were going to do. Like you're providing food for people, you're providing crops for people. So like I think they need to put a big emphasis back on like, skill sets in school, not just let me just sit at this desk for 8 hours and learn how to do algebra and write a paper on The Outsiders or some book, like things that aren't going to help you in the real world.
I love that you pulled The Outsiders, but I get it. I think every American in public education.
Book.
Yeah. I feel like everyone's read that book at some point.
There was like another book. I'm trying to think of some of the other books that they had us read.
Did you read Grapes of Wrath?
Grapes of Wrath was one. There was one they had a movie about it too.
All Quiet on the Western Front.
No, it was Of Mice and Men.
Mm.
Of Mice and Men was another one. So it's like books like that. It's like, I'm sorry, that's not going to help me in the real world. Like, teach me skill sets. Like, a lot of these skill sets that I didn't learn in school myself, I'm self-teaching myself now so that I have the skill sets when I do have the house, when I do have the ability to do the things that I want to do. I have the skill sets to do it.
I think some of those books might taught you a lesson here and there, maybe. I mean, like what The Outsiders told you, stay golden, pony boy, right? So that will probably stuck with you over the years.
Yeah, I learned more lessons on this podcast than I have reading those books in school, man.
Concerning. Oh man, Riley, how's your week been though?
It's been good, man.
How's the tales of the tape from Realtor Land?
It's not. I'll be honest, man. It's not so great right now. It's just it's different. I mean, I've got a client that I'm working with. They want me to sell their house too, but that's not gonna be ready until February. And so they want to sell first and then buy. So it's gonna be a little time, in a timely manner. But then I don't know. It's people are just gearing, starting their year up essentially. We're only 12 days into the new year, so I don't know. I'm still being hopeful, hoping that I went and showed a $2.9 million listing the other day.
Oh, you're like dealing with those kind of homes.
Yeah, and
okay.
And it's I'm hoping and praying that if all the numbers make sense and everything works out, then they'll be buying this property.
Yeah,
and so we'll see what happens on that. But other than that, though, man, it's been a week. The snowstorm, we had the snowstorm that came in.
Yo, yeah, y'all got snowed in.
Well, Dana still had to go to work, so I had to take her to work. And
Which
then
is
she
crazy.
and then she called me an hour and a half later and was like, "Hey, we're about to shut down. You might as well come get me."
That's what I'm about to say. Dana, I know you're listening right now, and I don't know, maybe Riley told you this, but if the roads are iced over, you're probably not going to be selling cars that day, I imagine, right?
No. And so I went to go pick her up, and then my car decided to take a dump, and my catalytic converter went out on my car. Not even kidding. I called various shops, one of which that was open, wanted to charge me $1,500 to do it. I was like, And so a couple of guys from our church both recommended this one guy who does mobile mechanic work.
Yeah.
I went and bought the whole catalytic converter myself, $600. Paid him. Well, I paid him $300. He only wanted $180, but because he came out during all this weather and stuff, and he helped me out, paid him $300, and he saved me like $800. I was like, nah, and he was able to do it within total. It took him about 3 hours to do by himself.
Yeah,
and he got it done. So and it worked out. But yeah, that happened. It wasn't a very good thing, but it is what it is, man. You got to roll with the punches. But yeah, how was y'all's weeks?
It's pretty good. Jay, if you want to go first, I've been talking.
Yeah, mine was pretty good. Just when you have kids, the most random things seem to pop up. So the day after Christmas, my youngest had her tonsils and adenoids taken out. So most of my vacation was spent helping her recover from that. And, my 16-year-old, I don't know if he was trying to cross Riley up in basketball. I don't remember what happened, but my 16-year-old hurt his knee during a pickup basketball game with a bunch of older guys. So we've been dealing with that. And, yeah, it was pretty good besides those couple of things.
Never a dull moment, though, I'm sure.
Right.
Thankfully, my week, I dodged all the stuff that y'all had to deal with up in North Texas. We just got a little bit of rain. It didn't even get below freezing. Initially, the forecast was basically what y'all experienced was this big, storm front was going to cross over. It was going to snow. It was going to ice. It was going to be cold enough for it to stick. So everyone was freaking out. People going to the grocery store, buying toilet paper, all the stuff people love to panic buy. And then we didn't even get below freezing here, at least when it was raining, before and after it did. But it really wasn't that bad down here. Just a normal...
There were some grocery stores that were sold out of bread, milk. I didn't check the toilet paper, but people were going crazy about it. I'm like, yo, we were inside for a day and a half. It actually started unfreezing the next day. And but the funny part is we're on the forecast to have another one not this week, but next week.
Is there really?
It's supposed to be a lighter version, but they're calling for another snow, snow and ice.
Interesting. I need to look into this because I was not aware another one was on the way.
But I don't know. It
Yeah.
depends. We'll see what happens. I'm not holding my breath about it because I mean they predicted that this was going to be a lot worse than what it was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. Like I said, the worst of it was on that Thursday. We got a little bit of snow that Friday morning, and then I think it was just rain for the rest of the day, and it just kind of just chilled out after that. But yeah, it wasn't that bad. And then, like I said, it just all started unmelting. I think pretty much all of it thawed out and was completely unmelted today. Like, yeah, like very, very thin sheets of ice still on some like shaded areas, but that was about it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't bad, but no, other than that though, I mean, week was a week. Hoping that everything just comes up from there. You know, I'm hoping that things start really picking up. Again, people are still getting back in the swing from the holidays. I know I am. So I'm really just hoping that things start picking up soon. Which is why the whole, like, I'm not working tomorrow thing is coming into play. I'm like, I just need to take a breather. I need to take a day. I'm not going to actually work. I'm going to, do some tax stuff, try to get, some stuff ready for taxes and everything. But I'm just
you pay taxes? I'm kidding.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do pay taxes. My CPA does my taxes for me, and so I rely on her to tell me what I need to pay.
Oh.
So whatever she tells me, I do. But thankfully, I'm still within that 5-year period, so I get those tax credits for like the first 5 years of being a business owner. So, like you get like certain amount of credits each year from what she told me, and so it's like I have like a whole list of tax credits that I have that if I choose to use, I can. I don't have to use all of them, but if I wanted to use some of them just so I can not have to pay as much or pay very little for that year, I can utilize some of those to kind of help, because that's most business owners, you're spending more money than you're making in the first 5 years anyway. So it's all about just getting that business built. So,
and Riley, you might need those tax credits because ever since you recommended that all of our listening audience go invest their entire life savings in Fartcoin, it has started to go down since then. So we are below that 0.8%, good sir.
No, listen, y'all. We still appreciate you. Subscribe, follow for more updates on Fartcoin. We will provide them weekly.
Man, that is crazy. Okay, so we're 50 episodes in. Riley, I just want to, pick your brain. Do you have a favorite topic or episode that we've had out of the 50 we've done thus far?
Ooh, that's hard.
And I know I just put you on the spot with this.
Did.
You had no preparation for this at all. That's really what this podcast is. I really just try to throw questions at Riley that he doesn't expect, and we all get to watch as he formulates an answer.
He does. So hold on, give me a second while I go look at our Rumble page, and I can kind of tell you hey, this is kind of what I feel like my favorite episode would be.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, at least if you look at the statistics or the analytics, the top episode on the YouTube side, because there's really three routes here. You have the Spotify side, the Rumble side, and then the YouTube side. YouTube side, the artificial intelligence one, for some reason, hit some algorithm and had a number exponentially more views than our typical episode.
Right.
I also can't. I was listening.
It might have been. I cannot crack the YouTube formula for some reason. I feel like we've done a number of episodes that behind the scenes our channel might have gotten flagged as inflammatory or what's the right term for that? Talking about stuff you shouldn't be talking about on certain platforms.
But then they let Joe Rogan, do his thing. So I get it's Joe Rogan versus us, but come on now, YouTube. So it's hard for me to actually pick a top episode, but here's probably my top. I'll give you my top 5.
Okay.
In no particular order, but I'll give you my top 5. The top 6 terrifying serial killers, because my reactions to that when I was reading all that for the first time, and we had to do the disclaimer.
Yes, you had no idea what you were reading. You're like, hold on a second, this is pretty gruesome. This is definitely not family friendly.
So there was that one. So that we'll do that one. Let me go back to page 2. So I'll be honest with you, our top episode on Rumble and I don't know where the algorithm came in for this one either.
That's the thing. There is no algorithm on Rumble. It's just
our episode 25 live stream, 1,540 views. I don't know where that came from. Don't know how that happened. So yeah, so the murderers of serial killers. Let's see here. The top 10 doomsday theory. That was because we did a part 1 and a part 2 for that. So I guess I'll technically count those because that was interesting to talk about on that. Let's see here. Antarctica. Antarctica was definitely a good episode. And then
Riley, what do you think about that? Jay, what are your thoughts on Antarctica? Just, I'm not even trying to lead the conversation in a certain direction, but just if I say, what do you think about Antarctica? Do you even have an opinion or a take on this lovely continent we have down there or up there?
I do. There's so much underneath that ice that we have yet to discover. It's just, I can't wait to, well, I don't want to say I can't wait till it all melts, but I just can't wait till we
Jay knows something we don't.
somehow find out, what's really down there.
Yeah. Right. I think that's one of the biggest mysteries is I think, like you said, there's a lot underneath that ice. Even if it's just natural formations of things, who knows? But
I guess for my number one, and you could technically combine a couple of these because it's been kind of the same topics. We just dove further deeper into them, but Texas as a whole. So we talked about, the Texas secession, how we could
one too.
Yeah. How we could function as, our own country if we needed to, and that kind of goes further like the casino aspect of things. It's funny you brought up Antarctica though for just a second there. Well, I brought it up technically. So I found this article and I saw it on Facebook, but I looked it up, and this was in 2021, and it was done by Harvard scientists. And it says they calculated early ocean may have been 1 to 2 times bigger. So there was a movie that was made in 1995 called Waterworld, and it was a film set in the distant future where planet Earth was almost completely covered in water, and its remaining inhabitants could only dream of mythic dry land. But it says, according to a new Harvard-led study, geochemical calculations about the interior of the planet's water storage capacity suggest Earth's primordial ocean 3 to 4 billion years ago may have been 1 to 2 times larger than it is today and possibly covered the planet's entire surface. Now, they don't have a photo of it, to my knowledge, but when I saw the thing on Facebook, they kind of had a photo of it. But just imagine like a whole Earth that had only just a little bit of land to it, and majority of it was, just oceans. Like that's all it was. Now, again, when you really think about it, if you go back that far, 65 million years ago when you had dinosaurs. So, but you go back billions of years though, if the planet is actually billions of years old, because again, you have the science versus the religious base where, the Earth is actually only like 5,000 years old, but then you have, scientists saying that the Earth is actually billions of years old. We've been here for the longest time. But who knows? But I thought that was pretty interesting though. Like, what if our planet was just primarily a water-based planet all those years ago, but where did all that water go? So
did it evaporate, I suppose?
But it would come back down though. Solids, liquids, gases. It would come back down.
I'm wondering go ahead.
Maybe there was a fire somewhere in, old school California, and they used some of the ocean water to fight it.
Right.
That's a good point. I fact checked that earlier. I forgot to bring that up. Like, yeah, you legit can use ocean salt water to combat fires.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like, they say they don't try to do it because it does if you do it long enough, it corrodes the hoses and et cetera, but it's definitely doable.
Well, all I'm saying is I'm not saying Californians don't know what they're doing out there, but when you have all that water that's just right there, you probably could have prevented all that fire from getting up as far as it did if you would have just used the water that was right in front of your faces.
Look, common sense is difficult.
I guess that's why they don't teach it in grade school. So, but yeah, as far as that goes, I just thought that was interesting. But yeah, those are probably my top 5. What about y'all? Like, if you don't have to do top 5, but what was, we'll probably go with Jay first. Like, seeing as you've been our longest running next to my wife, who's one of our biggest supporters as well. But like, what would you say was probably your favorite episode, or if you had to rank in like a top 3 or top 5?
Definitely the Antarctica episode, what's hidden under Antarctica, and then both of the Doomsday Theory episodes. So I like to hear about all the ways that we could possibly meet our demise one day. And I don't remember the other episode, but the one with the bug with the STD. That was my all-time favorite one.
I forgot about that. Which one was that? What episode was that?
I don't know. I'm looking right now to try to figure out.
It was before the.
I don't even know if I put it in the title. So it's.
It was.
I think
it was it the cicadas infected with sexy zombies.
I found it. Yeah, hypersexual zombie cicadas.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh. See, like when you go back and you look at all these episodes, you're like, wow, like so many episodes, and it feels like it wasn't that long ago, but you have to think like we have 50 episodes.
It's 50 weeks.
50 weeks.
Yeah, 52 weeks is a year. So
yeah, so I was gonna say we're actually close to approaching like our first like full, because we started like towards the end of January, I think is when we started. So then we got 2 more weeks left theoretically.
Yeah, we started 1 year ago, 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, so
yeah.
We're almost there. So we got a lot to celebrate. So,
Yeah. No, I always like talking about conspiracies and things like that. So Antarctica for sure is up there. Talking about Atlantis, I can talk about that all day.
That was fun, yeah.
But then it's also kind of wild. Like, dude, 2024 was a wild year because I think we've joked about this a couple times. It's like when we started this podcast, I think it was just a way for us to just talk about things since we're not in the same city anymore.
Yeah.
But then so many things politically happen. Like, you had the whole Donald Trump happened again, and like a freaking assassination. It's like all this stuff happened.
Three.
Like, I know, but it's like it's one of those things where it's like going into the year, you're like, oh yeah, we're going to talk about this and that. And like, I did not expect to go down a political rabbit hole the way we did. I'm not saying that's a complaint. Just it's been a year.
It has. It was definitely a year. But it's been a fun year, though. I mean, like I said, I didn't. When we started this, we just want to do something fun. We just want to do something interesting. But we still want to keep that aspect where it's like we're just doing this just to have a good time, just to talk about things, fun topics, serious topics. We don't want to have a specific niche behind our podcast. Like I know a lot of podcasts tend to have like your specific niches behind it. But we like talking about, just current news, current events, or even just pulling random stuff. I mean, the whole month of October, like we'll probably continue doing that, have like a whole spooky season, and we'll find new topics to talk about regarding that. Like there's plenty out there, I'm sure. And so we can definitely just, work with what we've got. But, we gained 40 followers over the course of this year on Rumble. That's not including Spotify, but some people may have followed on both. I don't know. It's just been a good year for it, and we definitely have a lot of things that we want to implement into it and what we want to do in it. But yeah, it's just been fun. It's been a fun thing, and now we see that we have some potential here for this amazing, thing, and we just enjoy all the people who have been along for the ride.
Did y'all see this past week at Jimmy Carter's funeral? The whole lineup of all the former presidents that are still alive sitting together, but then how it was Trump and Obama were talking and laughing and schmoozing with each other.
I didn't see that.
Did you see that, Riley? Hang on.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
It's very interesting because it just shows you at the end of the day, it's just they're all okay with each other in a sense. So this played on C-SPAN, but Riley, just look at this for a second. You don't have to really listen to it at all. There's a lot of debate about what are Trump saying to each other. We don't technically know. There's been some lip reading. So,
Kamala definitely wasn't happy at that conversation.
Oh, I think they.
Wait, what were you saying? Go ahead and mute it real quick. What were you saying?
Who was saying?
You were saying. You were saying something. Yeah.
I was just saying how with Kamala, they've just used and abused her to where she's no longer relevant to what they're trying to get at the end of the day. But at the same time, she's still technically the vice president of the United States. So it's like she's definitely not involved in any of these conversations that are happening. behind closed doors or in the public at all.
What's funny though is, I mean, if Biden's technically, because like the whole thing with what, like we talked about this too, one of the things they were going to try to do was impeach him before, you know, all that, and then she would become the president for like the last like 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks of the term. It's like, I'm still surprised they haven't really discussed any of that. I feel like they just kind of just accepted their fate, and they're trying, like, you know, they're trying to do whatever they can to just make the transition as hard as possible. But at the end of the day, I mean, again, I feel like they only do all this stuff just for TV purposes. At the end of the day, they all are definitely with each other, if that makes sense. But they put on that show just for everyone else. And so that guy really makes you think, like, do we even have anyone that's actually on our side, or are they just doing that all on TV to make it seem like, you know, like, oh, this is the good guy, this is the bad guy? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, it's going to be interesting.
Do you know who George Carlin is? A stand-up comedian since pass. Actually, yeah, I think he passed. He had a quote, or part of his stand-up set. He basically says, it's a big club and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they use to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe, all day long beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. But basically, it's a big old club, and Riley, you ain't in it.
I know I'm not. And
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I don't want to be in that club. I don't want to be in that club at all. Like, I could have all the money in the world, and they still couldn't pay me enough money to join that club.
Correction, all the fart coin in the world.
All the fart
Right.
coin, yes.
Yeah. Yes.
And they could not give me any more to join that club. Like, I would not want to be a part of that, because I mean, I feel like when you look at like the socioeconomic standards, here's us, here's the Diddy committee, and then here's the politicians.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I meant to
Great.
make a reference to this. We were talking about the California fires. This is totally a fun conspiracy that is probably not accurate whatsoever. But if they really wanted to get rid of all the evidence of the Diddy parties, the fire.
I didn't think about that.
That's-
Diddy, no.
Right, he does.
Why?
He does.
Because I mean, because how many houses? Like, if you pulled up like a list of the big name celebrities, or just any celebrity,
It was over
that-
10,000 homes.
So, like, how many of those homes were like celebrities that were involved with Diddy that got affected?
Oh,
Is there a way to find that out?
there were a lot of celebrities. I don't know about which ones were technically connected versus which ones were not.
Hold on.
But I mean, it was all those homes in Malibu. So I mean, for sure there were some celebrities in there that probably had some loose connection.
Okay, let's see if I have like a list here. It's probably not going to give me like an actual list. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. List celebrity homes affected by the fires.
I know, was it Mel Gibson had a house burned down?
Yeah, so Mel Gibson, Milo Ventimiglia, Benjamin Rigby, Anthony Hopkins, Tina Knowles, Anna Faris, Jeff Bridges, Jennifer Grey, John Goodman. I'm just trying to look. I don't know if any of these people are in particular are affiliated with it. Paris Hilton, Jamie Lee Curtis, James Woods. James Woods had to have been affiliated with that in some way. Let's see. Yeah, like that's just like that. That's just the list that they added most recently. There's probably more than that, but they. Let's see. Celebrities who have lost their homes to Los Angeles fires. Yeah. Now I know. Now here's the thing. Let's talk about the topic Hollywood for a second. Then while we're kind of just on the topic of the fires and everything, have you noticed that as of late, probably within like, and this probably might have been going on a lot, longer than what I've noticed, just because I haven't really paid that much attention, because celebrity stuff doesn't really. I don't care about celebrities at the end of the day.
You're too caught up in Fartcoin.
I'm too caught up in Fartcoin.
I'm not going to let that go.
I know. But have you noticed that there's been a not uproar, but an uptick in celebrities coming out more on like the religious God side of things? like they're making it known now that they're like, hey, like, you know, this is what I believe in. This is my faith. And there are some that kind of play around with the word faith, you know, and talk about like what people believe, but it's like they don't want to say the name God, or they don't want to say Jesus or anything like that. But it's like there's been a lot more celebrities coming out about that, because there's been this whole like Hollywood is demonic and they have satanic rituals and all this other kind of stuff. But it seems like they're trying to fight back against that. So a lot of celebrities have openly come out and said like, hey, like, this is what I firmly believe in. Like, I'm not afraid to say that anymore. You can blacklist me if you want to, but this is what I believe in. So
wouldn't it be crazy if all those rumors were 100% true and like Hollywood is legit run by like demonic practices? Like,
it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either.
With some of the stuff they used to come out with back in the 80s and the 90s, I mean, this has been going further back than that, you know, like when did Hollywood get us like the term, like, in just all of Hollywood? Because I mean,
well, I know the term Hollywood comes from the neighborhood that got built, because that Hollywood sign was for real estate development.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be Hollywood land at first, and then they dropped the land from it.
So Hollywood's
probably what, the 10s? 1900 to 10s?
1853 was when Hollywood's history began.
Wow.
So the area where Hollywood stands today was a small adobe hut. Then in 1883, Harvey Wilcox and his wife, Deida, moved to Los Angeles from Kansas and purchased 150 acres of land. 1887, he laid out the area as a real estate subdivision and named it Hollywood after the holly bushes that were common in the area. 1903, Hollywood became a municipality, and then 1910, it merged with Los Angeles and opened its first movie studio, Nestor Studios, in 1911. And then 1927, the release of The Jazz Singer, the first long-running feature talkie film, marked the beginning of the golden age of Hollywood cinema.
Man, these days you can't just like go somewhere, buy a couple acres of land, and turn it into be Hollywood. There's nowhere else to do that unless somewhere outside of Lincoln, Nebraska wants to become the new Hollywood. But
that's what I'm saying, man. It's like unless you were born like 1830 to like 1940, you didn't get nothing, because it's like everything is just all generational wealth at that point. It just all blew up and then just passed down from generation to generation to generation.
Which is why we have to go to Mars. We're going to start a Hollywood development on Mars.
Better not let Elon Musk hear you say that.
He'll probably do it. He'd be down for it.
Yeah, dude. Well, speaking of Elon Musk, he might be making some moves. Apparently, this was debunked, but he might be making some moves. Apparently, he's like, there was this thing that came up that he was contemplating purchasing the Cowboys.
Wait, what?
Yeah, for $12 billion, because right now it's worth $11 billion. So it's like he'd purchase it for $12 billion.
And do what with it?
Probably run it and actually get to a daggone Super Bowl.
Probably.
God, the way he runs his companies, I can only imagine how many people would be let go from the Cowboys organization.
I mean, I'll be honest, it can't be any worse than Jerry Jones trying to run everything himself.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just saying. But apparently it was debunked, like, because Jerry Jones on an interview came out and was like, I don't plan on stepping down as general manager.
He'll die as general manager.
He's like, I bought this company for myself. I didn't buy this for generational wealth. I didn't buy this for my children, my grandchildren. I bought this for me. This is mine. I'm going to do this essentially until the day he dies. So
have y'all seen that scene of him in Landman that's kind of gone viral?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
I thought it was pretty solid. I keep meaning to watch Landman. I haven't actually sat down and watched it yet.
What is that on?
It's on Paramount Plus.
I don't have Paramount Plus.
Landman's one of the Taylor Sheridan shows, so it's like, you know, the Yellowstone guy. So
okay.
But it takes place in West Texas, so it's about West Texas oil and mineral mining, stuff like that. But there's like a scene. It's got like John Hamm's in it from Mad Men.
I saw this. Like, I see videos on Facebook about this. I'm like, that show looks so good. And
yeah. Jerry Jones was in it. And he had this like monologue scene where like he even shed a tear, and
he played a good part, definitely.
I thought he did good, but I wish he could manage as well as he could act in that scene.
See, I had Paramount Plus, but I got rid of it because there was only like one show on there that I watched, and then they finished that show, so I didn't have a reason to keep it. So now I don't have Paramount Plus. So if anyone feels cheerful enough to maybe share their Paramount Plus so I can watch it, that'd be great.
We'll talk off stream.
Yeah, we'll talk off stream. But no, I just think that that's interesting though. There's so much that's happening right now just with all that. Again, Elon Musk, I feel like he's kind of in a point in his life though where he's like, yeah, I have all these things that I want to grow, but he's like, what else can I buy? Like, what else can I do? Like, he has so much money. Like, who's the richest? Is it Jeff Bezos? That's I mean, if you talk about like richest people in the world, I mean, you have the casino family that's probably up there. But like, if you're talking about just richest, just singular billionaire, he's in top 3, right? It's him, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos, right?
Yeah, based on like what's reported. Yeah, I'm looking at Forbes here. Let me show my screen. It's got Elon number 1, Bezos, then Zuckerberg, and then Larry Ellison.
That's insane. That's really insane. At one point I was like, I wouldn't mind working for Elon, but then I've heard how he treats some of his employees sometimes, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. I would not want to work for him.
Yeah, you got the NVIDIA guy here. Have you seen that? How like the majority of NVIDIA employees now are multimillionaires because the stock options.
Yeah,
NVIDIA stocks shot up so high.
Well, they just released their 5000 series graphics cards. I think they're for pre-order now, but I don't know if they're fully out on the market yet. But they announced them, and dude, the price tag on those, oh my gosh!
What are we talking here? Like,
here, I'll pull it up real quick, and I'll show you. GeForce 5000 series.
It's also wild. I'm looking at this list, and it's the top 10. Bill Gates ain't on this list. It's just interesting. I feel like the majority of our life, you always hear Bill Gates' name as like a top 5 richest. I think at one point he was the richest person in the world.
Let's see here.
And I didn't think Mark Zuckerberg would be number 3. I knew he was up there, but
no, I knew he was.
Which is wild. So Mark Zuckerberg, here, let me share this while I break down the math on this because I just realized this. So this is going off their net worth here. Mark Zuckerberg's 3rd on this list, but has only half the net worth of Elon Musk in 1st place here. So Elon Musk has $416 billion worth of net worth. Zuck's down there with 212. And even Jeff Bezos has 233, which is, I mean, basically half still.
Right. I know that's insane. So I was trying to find it off the actual website, but I couldn't. But people took screenshots off their computers for this. So this is the pricing right here. Now, the base one isn't that bad, but it's when you get to the 5090 is when I about like almost had a heart attack. So the 5070 is $549. The 5070 Ti. Now keep in mind they're not doing, I think ever since the 4000 series, actually maybe the 3000 series, they don't do like the 60s. So like they only start at 5070, so it did 4070, 5070, and 3070. They don't do the 60s anymore. They stopped doing those in the 2000 series, I think. But yeah, the 5070, 5070 Ti, the 5080, which is $1,000, and the 5090 is $2,000 for the graphics card.
Computers are getting too expensive.
I spent that much, actually less than that, when I bought my pre-built PC. Like, and then I just bought upgrades for it. So that's why, like, I don't. And the thing is, though, here's the thing: I'm not gonna buy one of these when I like get, upgrade my PC or do a whole new build, because just like the 4000 series, when the 3000 series came out, apparently like those were amazing. When the 4000 series came out, it caused a whole bunch of issues for people. It wasn't as good as what everyone thought it was going to be. So everyone just started doing the stuck with the 3000 series. I'm hoping that if they fix some of their stuff, I would probably buy the 5070. I don't need the 5080, 5070, or 5090. I would probably just buy the 5070. Like that would be all I would need to run everything, because that plus the newest like CPU chip and the liquid cooling, that would carry me to, for like 5 to 10 years. Like, and I would never have to upgrade anything on my PC ever again. Like I just have to get like the best motherboard ever just to run that. But yeah, so that's interesting for that. Like I said, so the availability starts this month. I think they're just available for pre-order right now, if you even can pre-order them. I know they try to keep that low because they don't want scalpers and stuff like that to buy them all up and then sell them for twice or 3 times as much to people on the internet. So
do you think they'll have supply chain issues? Like,
oh, definitely.
Yeah,
I definitely think they will. I give it probably the first day, and they're probably going to be sold out everywhere. Like, they're probably going to be sold out of all of them everywhere. And what blows my mind, though, is I look at that and I'm like, who has the money to spend on that? And it's like people who just don't spend their money on anything else besides computer stuff and games and everything, which, I mean, yeah, it's a hobby, but I wouldn't spend that much on a graphics card. I'd buy the 5070 and I'd be happy with that. Like
I'll buy it through
550.
Klarna. I'll break it up in pieces through Klarna.
Oh, yeah. See, I've been seeing that, but I'd rather just pay for it also. I don't have the payment. Like, it just makes it easier. But yeah. So what about y'all? Anything else on the docket for you guys?
I know I got one thing here I can bring up real quick. I know we've kind of touched on this before, but I saw a post on 4chan that's kind of gone viral, so I figured I'd bring it up again. We talked about Greenland before in Canada and the whole. I guess the background on this is we hear Trump joke about Trudeau, who is actually stepping down, becoming the governor of the new state of Canada, and then wanting to go and purchase Greenland, which is interesting because a delegation from Greenland is actually, as of like yesterday, they're entertaining the offer. So who knows? This could happen this year. Yeah, it's interesting. I'll pull up the tweet after this, but the leader of Greenland's like, we're willing to listen. So they're not laughing about it. I know there's also some gray area too because they belong to the Kingdom of Denmark, and so the whole question is, apparently, there's a lot of legal scholars looking at it because it looks like it might have been just like a handshake agreement, and there's no like legal documentation that says like you are the property of the Kingdom of Denmark. So, but thought this would be interesting to kind of throw this down with an explanation for why are we so fascinated with Canada and Denmark. So the post says, why does Trump keep joking about Canada becoming the 51st state? Why does Trump keep joking about buying Greenland? And why does Trump keep talking about taking back the Panama Canal? Well, it says the answer for those of you who are not familiar with geopolitics is shipping. Canada and Greenland, by extension of Denmark, control the Northwest Passage, which, due to ice melting, is set to become one of the largest shipping routes on Earth. Canada can't defend it against its other claimant, Russia, without U.S. support. Now, America is also going down the path of wanting to further control shipping routes to maintain their hegemony. While these come off as a joke now, make no mistake, these are long-term U.S. strategic objectives. Whether through conquest, economic partnership, or some other means, the U.S. will eventually control these routes, whether it's under Trump or someone else down the line. He is just the one putting the idea into the atmosphere. Now, there's been plenty of like maps and charts that I've seen of showing the Northwest Passage, but I think this is the one that really simplifies it in an orientation that we're used to looking at. Because most of the time it's like from a top-down view, and you're like, I don't know what this means in terms of us, but like, don't forget, Russia is right next to Alaska, giving it access to come down through the north part of Canada here, going across from Greenland as well. So it's very interesting to think this through of like, if we don't control it, then who controls it?
I mean, that is, well, here's the thing, like, nobody controls it just yet. I mean, it is a part of Denmark's, country per se, or territory, whatever. But if I can guarantee they may not sell the whole thing, but the chances of them selling a partial amount of it would still be better than nothing. Like, or selling them the rights to mine up the material because that's why they're wanting it. They want the material that's there, which for anyone who listened to our previous, I think it was like an episode ago or 2 episodes ago, Greenland has 4 of the world's most rare minerals on the planet, and they're all on Greenland. And so maybe he just wants to have access to those materials. So maybe they're going to pay for, instead of buying Greenland, they're going to pay for the rights to mine those materials, therefore increasing the U.S.'s, capital and revenue and just overall world market coverage in a sense. And then if we buy those rights, then that means probably other countries would have to buy those materials from us as we're mining those materials. So
can you imagine being Puerto Rico right now? They fought so hard for statehood, and we're over here like, we're not concerned with Puerto Rico. We want Canada and Greenland. And Puerto Rico's like, yo, we're right here. Like, we want this. And we're just like, turn our attention over here.
Well, because like, I don't want to sound mean, but what can Puerto Rico offer us? I mean,
That's a good question. I actually don't know the answer to that. Like economically, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. What do they have that they can offer us for us to want to do that for them? Because as it stands, if like when you look at Canada, there's only I think it's only like you said it was 20% of Canada actually has like established like people on it. It's like there's portions of Canada where there's just no population.
Yeah, it was that chart I pulled up where there's like a line, and the line is basically going through Toronto, and it's like 80% of Canada's population is below this line.
Yeah,
it's just because like Toronto's right there.
So it's like there's so much land there that would be so beneficial for development, and I just don't think Canada has the resources because they just developed everything so close to their border with us. But it's like there's so much capital there, like unused capital, that would be so beneficial for everyone.
Apparently Puerto Rico exports a lot of pharmaceuticals. I was not aware of this, but this is from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics website 2020 report. $12.9 billion of pharmaceutical and medicine manufacturing comes out of Puerto Rico.
I guess that's how they get medicine so cheap and then price gouge the crap out of it for us.
I guess. It seemed like this has been like a recent thing too, in terms of the dollar value coming out.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
Yeah. But we might see Greenland join the U.S. here in the very near future. It'd probably be a territory. I don't think it'd be a state.
Yeah, I think it'd be a territory.
Yeah. It'd be too hard to manage. It's up there.
Oh, that's wild. I'm just I'm browsing Twitter right now, and this is Libs of TikTok, and the woman who used to be the speaker for Joe Biden, the red-haired Jen Psaki.
Oh, yeah.
She apparently right now, they're on MSNBC, they're blaming Trump, Elon, and Republicans in wake of California wildfires. So they're already blaming him for something that's not even his fault, and he's not even in office yet, and they're already just being like, you know what? He's a scapegoat. We'll just throw him under the bus.
Well, logically, if you look at this, so Elon owns Tesla. Tesla makes the Cybertruck. Cybertrucks, when you put explosives in the back of them, can catch fire. And so if Tesla operates out of the state of California, at least for the near future, Cybertrucks are going to be in California. Therefore, Elon Musk gets to blame for the wildfires. So logically speaking, of course.
It wouldn't surprise me if there's some video that comes out of some Tesla like having a malfunction and it caused one of the fires.
Right.
Yeah. Did y'all see, like, there were a lot of people who were trying to like evacuate their neighborhoods if impacted by the fires, and they weren't able to. They had to go on foot basically. So they had parked the car in the middle of the road, and how so many cars were piling up on the roads that they couldn't get the fire trucks through. And so they had to bring in like a bulldozer and just like move the cars out of the way because they were all parked in the middle of the road.
I get it. And moments of, like emergencies like that, like you're concerned about yourself, your well-being, like of your family and stuff like that. But it's like, you want everything to be resolved quickly. Don't just like think about the fight, like the people who are actually going in there to fight to try to save your home as much as they can, while you're busy just running away screaming and all this other kind of stuff. So it's like, not only is your home insurance not going to cover the fire, but your car insurance probably won't even cover this either.
Yeah.
So
it is crazy
because you knowingly left your car there. So what do you expect is going to happen? I just wonder how they're going to fix all of this. Like how this is going to like, is this going to be like another Hawaii situation? Like, oh no,
I think you're spot on.
Here's $700.
Smart city that's coming.
Yeah. Here's $700, go, do what you need to do. I'm not saying I feel bad. Like it sucks that you're losing everything, but it's like a lot of them have, if they can afford $1 million house, they obviously have millions of dollars in other assets. So they could probably very easily recoup in a way, depending on what their insurance says.
Do you know which city's hosting the Olympics in 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles.
Yep.
So you think they're rebuilding for that?
I don't know if it's specifically for that, but it's very convenient that there's going to be a lot of people who will not be able to rebuild their home on very valuable property.
Stay tuned on Unscripted Company, where we will discuss this as it develops. And when we see that they're about to break ground on an Olympic stadium in Los Angeles, you heard it here first on Unscripted Company.
Because you could even go into the whole idea of them trying to get more people inside of the city itself rather than on the outskirts. Because there's the whole theory of, is it like a 5-minute city, a 10-minute city? There's this like concept of you can live in a city and go anywhere, get all of your, needs within like a 10-minute, I think, walk or scooter ride, something like that. And you're seeing it like they started, I think they broke ground on it. The city in, was it Saudi Arabia? Like the very linear city?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So that's a concept that gets floated around the World Economic Forum quite frequently in Davos.
Well, what blows my mind on it, though, is California is still known for earthquakes. So it's like, when it comes to population, I mean, yeah, you have a very hefty population, but it's not like you can build in every single aspect of California. Like you have, like, there's going to be some areas where you're just not able to build at without having to worry about earthquakes and just losing everything in a sense. So it's like, I don't know. Again, we're not on that tier list. We're below that tier list of knowing what's going to happen out there. But now my curiosity though is what Gavin Newsom is the governor?
Yeah.
What's he saying about all this? Like, what's he doing to try to help his people? The same. It frustrates me so much. Like, yeah, we're a democratic state. We love our we love our politicians here, and they support everything they do. But then they have no one supporting them now for what they're going through and what they're dealing with. But yet they're still going to vote the same people in. I'm not saying that this would have been different if a Republican was in office, but it's like, come on now, what's going on here? Like, what actually is happening?
Yeah, it sounded like they were playing a game of hot potato with when this is going to happen. It wasn't if, it was when. And it's just the potato got too hot.
Yeah, it looks like he just signed an executive order to help LA rebuild faster. So.
How you gonna rebuild faster if you got to get rid of the fires first, guy?
That's actually a good question. How contained is it right now? Even
I mean, the fact that it's spread as far as it did within 3 days, I don't think it's very contained right now.
Let's see. Yeah, because last time I think it was still single digits in terms of containment. Let's see here, 27% contained. That was as of 11 minutes ago, according to The Guardian.
I'm just curious, how did this start? How does California still deal with wildfires? How do they have them still?
Well, in my understanding, it's kind of a mix of a few things. So it's dry, first of all, just drought. So nature is dry, more flammable, easier to catch fire. You also have a scenario where, because of the type of trees, there's a lot of brush that builds up on the ground. So as not pine needles, but what do they have? The evergreen trees up there?
Oh, yeah.
The redwoods and stuff like that. As the brush falls from the tree, it builds up both in the city and outside of the city. So that has to be cleaned up if it's ever cleaned up. And then you had scenarios that happen throughout this fire where water reservoirs that were supposed to be full were not full. And then you had infrastructure failures. There were reports, seemed like pretty credible reports, that fire hydrants were just not working. And so even if they could have had the opportunity to stop the fire, they couldn't, because they couldn't access any of the water, whether it be through the fire hydrant itself or the water reservoir that's supposed to be holding the water that goes to the fire hydrant. So it kind of seems like a bureaucratic nightmare to begin with. They didn't clean up. It was hot and dry. Something caught fire, and then they couldn't put out the fire. And because it was already hot and dry, it just, pardon the pun, but it spread like wildfire.
Weren't there some reports that when the fire hydrants didn't have water, they were still residents in some of those communities that had water in there,
yes,
coming from their house, that they were using water hoses to fight the fire. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then you had I know there was a story that went kind of viral. I don't know how damning it really is, the whole situation, but you had a bunch of fire departments across the nation in 2022 maybe or 2023 that sent over a lot of excess firefighting supplies to Ukraine. LA Fire Department being one of those, and LA County I think also did that. And so there's a whole article that went viral because we sent all of our excess firefighting gear to Ukraine.
Yeah, see, here's the thing though. I literally just came across this, and it was I don't know which X page it was, but this was interesting. So this
Cameras pointed at the Palisades before the fire appeared to have captured a man starting it. Oh, I mean, that's possible to have like an arson technically be the one
you
to start
see a
it.
man standing right there,
Yeah.
and he's just chilling next to it, right next to where it's starting at.
I know they had a scenario that it was caught on film where they had a guy who was walking around with a blowtorch in LA somewhere, and a couple guys made a citizen's arrest. Basically, it went viral because one of the guys that was trying to do a citizen's arrest executed a near perfect leg sweep and like got him to the ground and everything.
Oh yeah.
But then they didn't have probable cause for like why the guy was going to be arrested for attempt of arson, and so they had to let him go. But very possible that not all the fires started naturally. People love chaos.
You sure it wasn't one of Elon's flamethrowers?
Could have been. Could have been. There's even theories that, like, was it a Chinese satellite that shot a laser down? Who knows?
Or was it the drones that have been flying around New Jersey that
we still don't have an answer for?
I was just thinking about that earlier. I was like, what happened to the drones? And this is what people really need to keep an eye out on when you're watching the news, when you're researching things and you're looking things up, or you seek out Unscripted Company for all your weekly news stories and things that are happening.
Pulitzer Prize winning Unscripted Company.
Yeah.
Put some respect on the name.
I'm sorry, my bad. Hey, listen. But think about how many things we've talked about in just like the last 10 episodes alone, that we've had multiple topics in that have had current events, current things happening, and then the very next week something new happens, but then you don't hear anything else about the news on the news talking about those things that we just talked about.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, when did that trend start? Was it the first or the big like assassination attempt, and then from there it just seems like there was always a big thing every other week? This
has been going on since COVID. I think honestly since before COVID. I just think we were less aware of it because we hadn't had such a significant event as COVID happened. But you had COVID, then you found out that COVID wasn't actually a thing as what they said it was. You had the murder hornets.
Oh yeah, the murder hornets.
You had God, what? Let me see here.
Or is this all just like a byproduct of news media going online and needing to get people to click so they can sell ads and stuff like that?
I'll be honest, I couldn't tell you. Hold on, let me see here.
While he's looking that up, speaking of drones, did you hear about the drone that hit the firefighting plane?
Yeah,
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, I didn't see if it was like a residential drone or if it was. It seemed like it was smaller, but yeah, it took out the plane that we had on lease from Canada. I think it was one of those planes that fills up with water and then it sprays it as it flies over. But like it punched a hole in the wing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like it was a significant thing, and they said they were going to work 24/7 try to fix it, but it was only one of two planes they had for that purpose. And it was on loan from Canada to begin with. So, like,
it'll be ours after a while anyway. So,
it probably will.
Right.
Honestly, California probably needs to invest in more after this just to have them ready. And then they can lease them out to someone else if they need to.
Right. So there was the supply chain stuff. The Taliban returned to power. Ethiopia's civil war worsens. This is all in 2021.
I don't think I remember hearing about Ethiopia having a civil war, but
let's see here. Other stories that happened. Let's go to 2022. This only goes to 2022, but let's see here. Humanitarian crisis. Let's see here. And there was a couple other things too that happened. Let me scroll back up here real quick. China asserts itself, climate disruption, the killing of George Floyd. So George Floyd was murdered in 2020. Murdered, but let's be honest here. The cops were a little bit more aggressive with him than what they should have been. And you see videos about stuff like that still happening now. Not saying it was, his fault because it wasn't by any means. And there was videos that came out about that. But the media does tend to play certain things in certain ways to make you believe one way or another. The way I see it is, look, I get it in certain scenarios, but just do what the cop says. Listen to him. Like if feel free, video them all you want. Video the cop because that's your First Amendment protected right. So video the cop, video all this, but just like cops also too need to have a little bit more training. And I get that at the end of the day they're putting their lives on the line to do for us. But here's the thing: I carry a gun myself. Like I'll fight and defend my own life if I have to at that point. But it's like I think some cops need a little bit more training than what they have now as far as like handling certain situations. But yeah, there was let's see here, 2020 events, pop culture stuff that happened. Let's see here. Yeah, the Senate also acquitted President Donald Trump of impeachment charges. So they acquitted him of all his charges. They made the moves to leave Afghanistan. So it was funny because I think Trump pulled them out, and the next thing you know, Joe Biden sends them all right back. I think that happened soon after he got into office. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. Let's see here.
A lot's gone down in recent history.
Yeah, a lot has happened. So it's like it just the media puts so much in front of everyone that I just don't. I feel like when you still go back to, like, let's just say end of 2019, like the last 3 months of that year, everything's been such a blur. Like it honestly feels like none of this has actually been real. But in all reality, we've been here living in what we've been living in.
In the simulation.
In a simulation. Dude, we're in the Matrix, man.
So Riley, something you and I talked about in the last episode, and Jay, I'm going to throw this question over to you, is we were kind of talking about our own predictions for 2025. There's a lot of stuff that can happen. I know I talked about how I think AI is going to be much more prominent in social media, things like that. Just kind of curious, do you have an overarching idea or theory of something's going to become more prominent in 2025 or maybe not prominent?
I mean, I kind of agree with you guys. The continuing rise of AI. I think for me that'd be the biggest thing. I think we're going to see a lot more AI news, good and bad.
Yeah,
I'm curious. I think at some point, I think the technology is already there, but we haven't had someone create a video yet that appears to be so real that it causes a national emergency or a major concern of some kind, like showing a world leader dying, doing something crazy, we've had some good fake videos out there, but one that's done very deliberately to shake up the status quo. And the question is how fast, or we're going to get to a point here where you're going to have to figure out a way to determine, is it real or has it been generated in some way? But determine that very quickly.
Right. What's the recent picture that went viral with Trump bowing to Elon Musk? It was an AI generated picture that he wasn't too happy about.
Yeah, I saw that. And man, I see so many these days too of just all these AI videos. I was literally watching one while we were waiting to go live of someone here. I'll just play it. I don't need to tell you who this is. You'll figure it out.
Oh.
So it's we're there. It's just
you can still, if you have a good eye for it and you've dealt with it, you can tell what's real and what's not.
Look at those fingers.
Right.
Yeah.
The fingers and the eyes too. If you look at the eyes, you can kind of see what they're doing. This is kind of like a callback, but remember the episode that we talked about AI Jesus?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to introduce to you.
Wait, let me take a sip of my Jesus juice.
I made
one.
I made a GPT to help me with Bible studies, and it's called Word of Wisdom. And so the way I have it configured, though, is it's non-denominational, in-depth Bible study guide. And so I have it, it primarily references translations such as CSB, NLT, and ESV. It providing comprehensive support. It focuses equally on theological understanding, historical context, and practical application of Scripture. And on those three versions, ensuring accuracy and accessibility, commentaries will be drawn from reputable Scripture-based sources relevant to the specific passage being studied. Pastoral insights will be included only if they are firmly rooted in the Word of God, avoiding teachings that deviate from biblical truth.
I think it'd be fun if you had one that was specifically
impressive.
Southern Baptist, and then you have your Methodist one, and then you got your Joel Osteen copy.
Right.
and-
But I did that specifically because in our church, I mean, we're non-denominational, but I wanted to do, you know, if I'm going to have like, I mean, I have like Bible study apps and certain things that I have additional commentaries for, things that I've paid money for, that I've got commentaries for that are all biblically sound and principle based. And if I've told my pastor, I was like, you know, sometimes I use ChatGPT to kind of help. And he gave me some helpful tips on like how to, you know, make sure that you're getting the accurate information. And so I just went ahead and created one, called it Word of Wisdom. And it only pulls from whatever I need it to pull from and how I need it to pull from it, just so that I'm making sure that I'm not just getting a bunch of AI fluff from whatever source it's pulling it from and it's giving me the wrong stuff.
I think I remember giving you a homework assignment. No worries if you never did it, but did you ever end up having a conversation with it, like a verbal conversation? with
I
ChatGPT?
actually have not yet.
Okay.
I'm still working on playing around with some of them though, but I haven't actually had the verbal conversation with AI yet. So stay tuned for that, because I will do that, and I will definitely report back on the next episode for that.
No, you'll have to do it live on the next live episode.
I mean, I could do it live right now, technically.
You could if you wanted to. It's just such a weird. I don't want to say dystopian, because it's not scary, but it's also scary to think like, oh, this is where we're at like today.
Right.
And this happened all very quickly. Like ChatGPT, it's been around for a little bit, but it's only been available to the public for like what, 2 years now.
Let me see if I can do this real quick. I'm just
Yeah.
so people can kind of see that I'm doing
You can even
this.
change the voice. Like which, do you want it to be a female's voice, a male's voice? Like,
Have you ever heard of the Unscripted Company Podcast on Rumble?
No, I haven't. What's the Unscripted Company Podcast about?
That's interesting. I'm surprised you haven't heard about it. Unscripted Company is the fastest growing podcast to date, and it features a various wide array of topics, such as current political news, conspiracy theories, horror stories. Like, we're just kind of an all around podcast that just enjoys having fun conversations and just growing into something that people can enjoy and watch in their own time.
That sounds really engaging. It's great that it covers such a variety of topics. What inspired you to start it?
Just, having good conversations with some good friends.
That sounds like a great foundation. Casual chats with friends can lead to the best conversations. It's awesome that you're sharing that with listeners.
Yeah, so that's interesting. That is definitely intriguing. So you heard it here first, and it also gives you a synopsis of what you talked about. So I think that's pretty interesting. So again, okay, so you didn't have to wait till the next episode. Okay, so I did it here live because we're doing it live, and so that's exactly what happened.
it's interesting because I think if I would have told myself 2 years ago that I would use an AI in my daily workflow for like actual work, I would have been like, you're crazy. I don't know how that's possible. But like, I'll use my ChatGPT is almost like a sounding board sometimes for thinking through certain things. And I don't know if I'm using it too much like a crutch, but literally just talking to it is kind of weird, but
show us your
it's
list
effective.
of GPTs. I want to see.
Check
this out, Jay.
Maybe, yeah.
Uh-oh.
I told Jay about how you're not like very, very prominent in it, but you created a bunch of GPTs for different various things.
Yeah.
And told him how how some of them work.
Here, let me pull up my GPTs. So I have one that helps me with like YouTube SEO. I have a couple ones that do writing and image generation, writing for like different newsletters. I have one that's like Anthony Bourdain. I have one that does like Texas editorial news, vintage postcard animations, one that can write Substack articles for me, and the stuff that can like write emails. Or this is the one I actually use to take the audio transcripts from our podcast and literally write a Substack newsletter for it. They have one at the bottom for just creative copywriting. So various things, but wait, hang on, let me go. So it's like, I'll give them.
Like he goes really in depth. Like this is stuff that like I'm like, I need to get on that level of description so that whenever I tell it what I need it to do, it does it. Because like, as you can see, like on my word of wisdom one, like I had just like a little paragraph, but it's like the more you give it, the more it does, like, and the more in depth and descriptive it gets for you. So I definitely think, as far as AI this upcoming year, it's definitely going to have a huge shakeup. I don't foresee there being any new thing being developed, but I will say they're probably going to go way further in depth with just open AI, all these current ones that they do have. Because you have to think, you have Google Gemini, technically Siri's a version of AI.
You have Grok, which is on X.
Yeah, Grok. You have Copilot? No, is it Copilot? No, it's not.
Copilot's on Microsoft, but it's really open AI, like the back end that's running that.
Right. I haven't used Grok yet because like I don't pay for X, so I haven't used it yet. It is cheap though; it's not that expensive. But
Grok is it's pretty interesting because it pulls all its data like from the internet, of course, but then also from tweets. So it'll show you the tweets that it's referencing in real time, and you can like dive deeper into them. Cloud is another interesting one to look at. That's really good for like it's better on reasoning than it is for like ChatGPT is good, but Cloud is kind of ahead of it in some ways.
Right.
And then Perplexity is another one.
Yeah. No. I've used Perplexity. Yeah, I've used that one a couple times, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah. I definitely think that's the interesting stuff right there. But yeah, as far as anything else, we definitely could continue going. This is kind of just like that episode. We wanted to do something different. We wanted to kind of bring a lot of new stuff. So let me ask you this question, I guess, for both of y'all. What are y'all looking? I know me and JK have kind of talked about it, and I've kind of told Jay some of the small things that we've talked about doing. But what are y'all looking forward to? Actually, two questions. What are you looking forward to personally this year for yourselves? What is the one thing, or just a couple things that you're looking forward to this year?
Ooh, at least on my side, this is the first time in my life where we're seriously looking at buying a home. So that'll be something interesting looking at around summertime. It's a big step, big financial commitment, but it's exciting at the same time. So that's something I'm looking forward to, at least that. I have some other professional aspirations for this year, some of which I just can't say on this podcast because it has to do with the company that the podcast is being hosted on. But exciting times ahead, to say the least.
Right. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, for me, man, just professionally, I've been working in the audit industry for internal auditing for about 5 years now, and I don't have a degree in accounting. Just kind of learned as I've had on-the-job experience. So seeking out a professional certification this year, whether it be becoming a certified fraud examiner or something of that nature. Personally, just getting back in shape. I'm about 3 years into remission from stage 4 cancer, so finally starting to feel better. So just getting back in shape.
Right. That's good. Yeah.
No, that's good.
Definitely getting back in shape. I mean, that I think all those are good answers. Like, I mean, I definitely probably like a combination of the two for both y'all. I mean, we want to look at buying a house this year, but it just really depends on how this year shapes up for me. Honestly, I mean, Dana makes her money. It's just the job market isn't that great right now. So we're kind of just, I don't want to say we're stuck because you're never really stuck. It's just, you got to wait for that opportunity. But I mean, it also comes to with, you have to make the opportunities, but we're kind of in that position where if I could just make, a decent amount this year, we would definitely have enough to put down on a house for next year. So like I'm already kind of at this point, I'm planning for next year. The goal this year is just to pay off the rest of my student debt. That's the goal. I have one of my goals is to at least pay off one student loan this year. If I could pay off both, that'd be great. A lot of our goals this year are just kind of, a lot of them are financial based, but it's, starting our retirement stuff, getting our savings, reinforced back up, start investing, just kind of get it set up for success in that. But also too, like I really want to, again, get back in shape. Definitely want to focus more on just like the personal growth aspect. And I mean, honestly, depending on what happens with the podcast this year, I mean, this is something we're still going to continue doing, but if we can hit the numbers and hit the growth, I mean, as it comes, I mean, we're in a percentile of podcasts that haven't even made it this far that, they give up after like 5 or 10 episodes. So it's like, we're definitely in a percentile that has not done so. I definitely got my eye on a lot of different potential ideas for future businesses and stuff, but real estate is still the main aspect of where I'm focusing at. But I've definitely got some other ideas in the pipeline of some things that, ChatGPT's kind of been helping me work through as far as business planning for it and stuff like that. But definitely ready for this year's, again, just started. So we're still shaping the foundation of it. So, the way I see it is I may not have anything right now, but, springtime, summertime, things will definitely ramp up and pick up. And so just being patient about it all and just waiting to see what happens at the end of the day,
One thing I do know, just to give us a casual check-in here on the current price of Artcoin, it has gone down some more since the last time we checked in on it.
I shouldn't have said anything. I'm sorry.
It's not your fault, man.
Yep.
So here's my question. How are you seeing that version? Because when I look at it, it doesn't show that. I'm looking at the same chart. I have it clicked on one day, but mine doesn't show the same numbers as yours.
Oh, that's interesting. What numbers are you seeing? Let me refresh the page, I guess.
Okay, so let me share my screen real quick and I'll show you.
Yeah.
So yours says like the 0.75. Here's what mine shows. It shows this weird stuff right here.
Oh, it's 2 different fart coins.
Is it really?
Yeah, you're looking at fart space coin. I'm looking at all one word, fart coin.
Oh.
This is the world we live in these days, Riley. There are 2 types of fart. And look, there's also based fart coin.
Oh,
you see that?
Spaces matter, Hey, listen. All right. Well, yeah, fart coin has gone down even further. Guys, I'm sorry. Don't buy fart coin. Do not do it.
Riley, you're just as good as Jim Cramer. You listen to him, you just do the opposite, and you'll be fine.
Oh, man. But yeah, well, no, I definitely think this year is going to be a good year. I do. I think it'll be a good year for everyone. I think a lot of people are also too are just waiting to see what the current administration is going to do. Again, not to get political, but people have. I mean, I'm not the kind of agent that's going to just push you into doing something. By all means, like if the numbers don't make sense and it doesn't work for you, don't do it. But let's sit down and discuss what that looks like. Let's put you in touch with the right people to make sure, because people all day say like, oh, I can't afford this or I can't afford that. Well, I'll be honest with you. A lot of people don't even know that they have all these subscriptions that they're still paying for that they don't even utilize. Like, how often are you checking your bank statements, your accounts, like all that? How often are you checking that stuff? So like, I definitely think it'll be a good year. I don't think a house will be in the cards for us this year unless by the grace of God and a God's miracle that, he's just like, hey, you could do this. Just go ahead and just go buy a house. But our monthly bills are as much as what some people pay for a mortgage. So definitely don't see that being the case right now. But if I save up enough money and I find a good piece of land for a good price and I can pay cash for it, definitely going to jump on that and then just sit on it until we can build our dream house at the end of the day. Cause I don't want to buy a house and then have to move and then move again. I just want to, if I can find the land, I'm buying it. So,
yeah, that makes sense. Well, we're about an hour and a half into this. So if we haven't said so yet, now is a good opportunity. If you happen to be listening out there, I see there's 5 of you out there. First of all, howdy. Hope your evening's going well. Want to take a moment to say, don't forget, like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff. You're all smart cookies. You know where the buttons are at. But also leave us a comment, especially if you're watching this on demand after the fact. What's your biggest prediction for 2025? What do you think's coming down the pipeline? There are going to be more, I don't know, cataclysmic events going on. Is there going to be anything spicy going on with our neighbors to the north with Canada and Greenland? Let us know down below. Now, Riley, I'm going to pass it back over to you for some final words of wisdom, but anything else either you or Jay want to throw out there before we kind of wrap this one up?
Anything from you, Jay?
No, like I said, I'm just glad to be able to be on tonight with you guys and keep up the good work. I'll always be a fan, and I'll keep feeding Riley all this all this media that I consume all the time.
No, you're welcome back anytime. At least now you know how unprepared we are going into most episodes. So you're always welcome back without any preparation whatsoever.
Right.
Nice.
I guess I do have one other question, because this is actually
Go for it.
question.
Yeah.
As far as the podcast, what are y'all most looking forward to for season 2 of Unscripted Company this year? Like, it could be a couple things. It could be one thing. Like, what are you looking for? Like, what do you want to hear us talk about? Like, what do you want to talk about? Some changes. Like, what do you want to see out of Unscripted Company season 2?
Are you asking us that question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think one thing, and this is just, I don't know, my opinion changes, but this is currently, I think one thing we need to really work on is, so we have the concept of Unscripted Company. So like we have to keep it somewhat unscripted and authentic to a certain extent. But I think in a way it needs to become a bit more formulaic, meaning that, we may know a topic going in, we may not know a topic, but the episode itself is predictable in the sense that if we ever wanted to monetize certain aspects of it, there are natural breaks where you can have ad inserts and things like that. I want to get better about thumbnails too. I'm not thrilled with our thumbnails. I know I've experimented a couple times. I'll revert back to like our bread and butter, but like the visual aspect of it, definitely want to get better with it. And I think there's something to doing more live as well, where it's like if we go live on a Sunday night. But also one thing I've been thinking through, and Riley, I haven't really talked about this, but I think one thing that kind of hurts us a little bit is if we do talk about something that is like a super trending topic, like it just happened, it's kind of breaking news, when we record or when we go live on a Sunday night isn't ideal for the traditional news cycle. So most of the news from the week is irrelevant by the time this gets uploaded at the beginning of the week, because there's new news that hits at that point. So things I've been thinking through, but I need to actually like write down those thoughts and really flesh them out a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Jay? As one of our longest fans since we've started.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just enjoy the unpredictability. Like, you never know, what you're gonna hear. So I enjoy I enjoy that aspect of it. So just looking forward to I understand about the having a little more structure, but I enjoy the unpredictability and the unscriptedness. So.
Good to know.
No, I definitely agree with both aspects in a sense where we can have the structure, but we can also have the unpredictability. Like me and JK have kind of talked about a couple things that we could do where neither of us really know like what we're bringing to the table. So it's like we have like a base template that we follow as far as the structure of the show or the episode, but we don't know what the other one's going to be talking about. And so, but then again, you have, going back to the Halloween season, like you have an episode where I'm just reading something that ChatGPT gave me, and we're talking about gouging out somebody's eyeballs and doing all these weird things with their body. And I'm just like, you're hearing this live on Unscripted Company. But I definitely think that the structured aspect, but also too, like we want to try to do different things. Again, to all the people who've been here since the beginning, or if you're just now picking it up, every episode may not be your cup of tea. Everything may not be what you envisioned that this would be. But if you have been here and we see the views that we get versus the people who have followed or subscribed, we're not here for your money. We're not here for anything like that. But if it comes to that and you guys want to support in that way, then we'll definitely look into doing those things as far as monetizing it a little bit more. But we do appreciate all the support from everyone. So if you haven't subscribed or you haven't followed yet, do that. We enjoy it. We enjoy having not just seeing those numbers though, but all the views that we see that we get, we're still going to do this either way. We could get 1 view or we could get 1,500 views like the one video did. And we're still going to continue doing this because we enjoy doing it. It's something that we like doing. and we just like having good, wholesome conversations, even if it is about a murder that happened 150 years ago. And so we have fun with it all. We want to know y'all's thoughts in the comments. We want to get more people involved in the community of what we're doing. We're not expecting this to be some kind of like massive movement or anything like that, but we just want to know y'all's thoughts. We want to know what y'all want to see in the podcast. We want to know what you guys think about it. And, some of the transitions and things we're thinking about is doing like a weekly featured comment kind of thing, or maybe just answering a couple, communities questions. So if you have any questions about us, about ourselves, or just like what we're talking about, then, drop those in the comments. Like, we want to hear what y'all are thinking, and we want to know what y'all want to see of us as we grow this as a community.
I think that's a good place to end it right there. What do you think, Riley?
Yeah.
You got any other words of wisdom? Drop it
Dude,
off right there.
I don't think I have anything else, man. I think that's about it.